Hi there, this is Dr. Mu'in Hasib, the Accreditation Consultant and Quality and Safety Trainer, with another lesson, another topic on an accreditation and quality and safety for clinical laboratories. This is lesson 1 on the topic the most common CAB inspection deficiencies or citations and how to avoid them. The learning outcomes for lesson 1. What is CAB? We'll talk about CAB checklist. What do we mean by deficiencies or citations, and what are their types? Are deficiencies and recommendations the same? If not, what is the difference? What are the most commonly cited standards by CAB and how to avoid them? In lesson number 2, we'll continue with what are the most commonly cited standards by CAB and how to avoid them. In lesson number 3 and lesson number 4 and lesson number 5, we'll also continue with what are the most commonly cited standards by CAB and how to avoid them. In addition to that, in lesson number 5, we'll talk about how to respond to deficiencies or citations, when and how to challenge a deficiency or citation, what to send to CAB if you get cited, and a subject summary. So let's start with lesson 1. What is CAB? CAB stands for College of American Pathologists. It is a non-profit global organization that was established in 1946. It has board-certified pathologists with more than 17,000 physician members. It has accredited 97% of the top 100 U.S. hospitals with laboratories and over 8,000 laboratories in 50 countries around the world. It has more than 260 international laboratories in Asia, Middle East, China, South America, India, Europe, Mexico, and others. There are 22 CAB checklists with more than 4,000 standards. Usually one checklist for each section, like chemistry has a checklist, hematology has a checklist, micro has a checklist. One lab general checklist that is applicable to all sections, and one all common checklist also for each section. And there is a team leader checklist that was renamed to Director Assessment Checklist as of August 21, 2017. These are the checklists that College of American Pathologists published. Okay, CAB checklist examples. I'm gonna tell you how to read the CAB checklist here. Okay, the CAB checklist will have usually a requirement number. It will have a subject header, a phase, a declarative statement, and some checklists, they have notes to help you with to interrupt the standard, and some have evidence of compliance to tell you what kind of things, records or documents you need in order to comply with the standards. What do we mean by deficiencies or citation, and what are their types? There is a phase 0 deficiency. There is a phase 1 deficiency, and there is a phase 2 deficiencies. For phase 0 deficiency, I really haven't seen a phase 0 deficiency for a long time, but it is usually a trial or an introduction standard. They want to see how people are reacting to it. They want to see if they are in compliance for it. It is not required, and it does not require a formal response to CAB. it could be converted down the road to phase 1 or phase 2 deficiencies. Phase 1 deficiency or citation, it affects the quality of service without endangering the health and safety of patients, clients, or staff. If you get cited for a phase 1 deficiency, you have to respond to CAB that's saying you fixed it, okay, but you don't have to provide documentations. For phase 2 deficiency or citation, may have a serious impact on the quality of service and may endanger the health and safety of the patient, clients, or staff. If you get cited and was a phase 2, then you need to respond to CAB by saying that you fixed it, you fixed the citation, and you must provide supporting documentation that you did. Phase 1 and phase 2 deficiency must be corrected before accreditation can be granted. Responses documentation must be submitted within 30 days of inspection. This is how usually it is. Are deficiencies and recommendation the same? Well, recommendation often it's an improvement suggestion by the inspector, but it's not a requirement for accreditation, nor it needs a response to CAB. So an inspector might tell you, okay, what you are doing is okay, but I recommend that you do it this way, okay? So it's just another way of doing things. That's what recommendation is all about. And if you get a recommendation, you don't really need to respond to CAB regarding that recommendation. CAB may, though, convert a recommendation to deficiency requiring correction and documentation. Why? Because according to CAB surveys, they say that 48% of the team leaders and 31% of the team members, they are uncertain whether to cite a deficiency or a recommendation. So if they make a recommendation and CAB thinks that should be a citation, they will change it to a deficiency or a citation, and they will tell you to respond to it. But this is, from my experience, is very, very rare. So far, I've probably seen it once or twice, not more than that. So now we're going to talk about what are the most commonly cited standard by CAB and how to avoid them. There are 10 top deficiencies common to all sections. This is from 2014 inspection that was published in 2016, and we're gonna start with the first one, number 1 citation, which is the competency, and it was cited in 1,979 labs, and the competency found in lab Gen 55500. That's the requirement ID for it. But before I start on that, also I need to show you that in 2016, which was probably published in 2017, that the competency assessment is still number 1 on the citation with 29%. Also, if you look at the citation between 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, and probably 2019 or 2020, you will find similar citations but different rank. Okay, so the competency could move down but still be here. Okay, look at this graph by CAB here. This is the not reoccurring citation. This is previous inspection. This is after 2 inspection, and this is inspection before the previous. So before that. So look at the PT attestation, sign of the PT attestation page. It was cited initially, and it was cited again, then it was gone. But look at the competency, for example, the one we're going to start talking about. It's a number one citation for CAB. It was detected or cited on the initial inspection, then on the recurring, and still there. It does not go away. That's mean some labs, they get cited for the competency over and over and over. That's how serious it is. So let's start with the competency assessment. In LabGen 55500 competency assessment of testing personnel. Of course, we talked about this in a lot of details in the training versus competency topic and lesson. If you are interested in learning more, please refer to that and watch those lessons. So here I'm gonna tell you just about it briefly. Okay. So the competency of each person performing patient testing, they need to be trained, and they need to have a competency done. For wave testing, they need to do an annual competency, and for non-wave testing, you need to do a semi-annual competency and an annual competency. For wave testing, you just do an observation. For non-wave testing, the semi-annual and the annual competency process is the same. Who assess the assessor? Okay, if the supervisor assess the staff, then the medical director or the section director will assess the supervisor. For the competency, all the 6 elements required by CAB need to be assessed as applicable for the semi-annual and annual competency. You have a direct observation, okay, of routine patient test performance. Number 2, monitoring the recording and reporting patient result. 3, review of intermediate test result or worksheet. 4, direct observation performance of instrument maintenance and function checks. 5, assessment of test performance through BT or blind samples. And 6, evaluation problem solving skills. Look at these requirements here. For number 1 and number 4, it says direct observation. That's mean you have to see with your own eyes. You have to observe. For number 2 and 3, you have to review document, maintenance, or QC, or whatever is required, critical result. For number 5, if you are participating or in BT, then you can use the BT for that. If the technologist or the tech did not have a chance to do the BT, then you need to give them previously analyzed sample or blind samples. For number 6, evaluation problem solving skills, you can accomplish that in 2 ways. The first one is you need to demonstrate for each test system you have that the tech solve an issue or a problem on that test system, or you can give them a quiz that has at least 1 question about each test system you have in your section, and you need to grade that. Now for PT, blind samples, and problem solving skills, you have to have a score for them, and it needs to be 80% or more to pass. Now we mentioned, you heard me saying test system, so the competency need to be done according to the test system that you are using in your laboratory. What is a test system? A test system is the process that include pre-analytical, analytical, and post-analytical steps used to produce a test result. It could be manual, automated, or single use. It could include reagents, component, equipments, or instrument. It may include also multiple identical analyzers. If you have 3 instruments are the same and you do the same testing on them, they are considered one test system. If you have 2 similar instruments, Like say you have two CBC instruments, one you doing CBC on and the other one is only for retake, then they are two different test systems. Okay, so that's the definition of a test system. When must competency be assessed? I already told you that. For wave testing, annually. For non-wave testing, you need to do semi-annually and you need to do annually. Let's say for non-wave testing, if you hire somebody in January 2019, and then the semi-annual competency will be around in July 2019, and their annual competency will be in January 2020, and annual competency thereafter will be January 21, January 22, January 23, and so on and so forth. You need a system for the semi-annual and annual competency, especially the semi-annual. People forget about it. That's why you need to put it on a calendar. If you have a new employee, just count 6 months from the date of their hiring and see if they're done with the training. If they're done, do the semi-annual competency for them. Some notes in regarding the competency. Many of the element competency assessment are performed during routine review of an employee throughout the year. Example of daily activity can be used to demonstrate the competency, adherence to the IBBs, observation of test performance, result reporting, critical result review, instrument maintenance, review worksheet, recording and reviewing of the QC, doing PT, and demonstrating of taking appropriate corrective actions. Now, if elements of competency are assessed on a routine basis, then you must outline that review on a form or a checklist. So you need to document it on a form or a checklist. How you do that? By having a form like this, where you write the information of the employee, of the staff. As you see, this is an Excel sheet, has more than one staff here. So you write the information of the staff, then you select the items you're gonna be doing the competency for from these 6 requirements. These you cannot touch, but here you can add and delete as applicable. You see these numbers here, they correspond to the numbers here. You need at least one number or as applicable from each number above. As you can see, I have 3 ones, 2 ones, 3s, 4, 5, and 6. That's where you put your test system here. Okay, you write the instruments and kits that you have. This is another example of this is just for immunology section. See their test system, they include them here. This is a field example for hematology. You can see they have 2 test systems for CBC. They have a Coulter and they have a Ruby. So how do you do the competency? I will do just one for you here, okay, and you can follow with me and you can do the rest. Okay, if you have a patient ID preparation, you put the accession number for that. If you have you do specimen collection, you put the accession number for that. If you don't do specimen collection, then you can take that out. So for the patient ID, processing, specimen collection, and testing, and reporting normals, a review of worksheets, okay, all one accession number. Okay, critical result, you need another accession number or another patient that technologist called that critical result to the nurse or to the doctor. Review of QC, you put the date that they did the QC. Review PT raw data, you put the code of the PT, don't need the year because We know this is the, for example, the year is up here, okay, and for the proficiency testing, okay, you include the code and you include the score, okay, which is here, okay. So for review of PM record, this is maintenance. You need to put the you need to look at the maintenance form and see when they did the maintenance and write the date that they did the maintenance, whether it's daily, weekly, or monthly, or as needed. And for number 4 here, maintenance, this is observation. You need to observe them doing the maintenance on that particular test system. Now for blind samples, you put an A if the technologist did BT. They did not do BT, then you need to give them previously analyzed sample for that test system. As you can see, you can do this is how you do it, and then you can do for the rest of the test systems. And this is another example for a blood gas machine. So I'm done with the competency. Okay, next we're gonna talk about activity menu. Activity menu, and you find that in all common 0, 1, 200. The activity menu, the lab should have a current activity menu. Your activity menu means it includes the tests that you report patient results on. Okay, if you're doing validation or doing research, you don't need to include that. So your activity menu includes all the patient results, all the patient tests you report patient results on. And with your application, if this is your first inspection, you need to submit your testing menu to CAB, and they will compare it with the BT order that you have. If there is anything missing, then they will tell you to order BT for that. But what happens usually on the inspection, CAB send the activity menu to the team leader for each section. Then the team leader give the activity menu of the section to the inspector who's going to be inspecting that section. Then if the inspector found out that you are doing tests that are not on the activity menu, you will be cited. Or if you are having some tests on your activity menus that you are not performing, also you will be cited. I seen this a lot. Okay, I really seen this a lot. So you want to make sure that your activity menu is current, only has what you report patient result on. Okay. I am done with this lesson on the most common CAB checklist deficiencies or citations and how to avoid them. To continue with the subject, please go to lesson 2. In lesson 2, we'll continue what are the most commonly cited standard by CAB and how to avoid them. Thank you very much for watching.